What's up, everyone, and welcome to In Black and White. I am not your co-host today. I am just filling in for about 5 minutes until the actual co-host of the show gets here. So I am one half of In Black and White temporarily, Ethan Micheal, and alongside me is the co-host, Rick Lockhart. Everyone, check it out. We just won Michigan.
Yeah, we did it.
So we are now at 264, Trump 214. So all we need is Nevada. Now, the Nevada gap is unfortunately closing a little bit. Biden is only ahead by 0.6%. Then we've got Pennsylvania, where Donald Trump is ahead by about 4.5%. We've got North Carolina, where he's up about 1.5%, and then Georgia, where he's up about 1.2%. So the big thing is, if we win Nevada, we've got this.
And I think Ethan, hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. I really think that he has a good chance of getting Nevada. The unfortunate part about all of this is we know how he's going to react. He's going to throw a tantrum. He's going to stomp his feet, and he already started. He's already started. And I'm speechless at the lack of maturity, but it's on par for the course, right? That's just what he does. That's exactly how he operates. So we knew this would happen. We knew he was going to do this.
I just want to interrupt real quick. To the people watching on Kendra's Facebook page, Kendra will be on in just a few minutes. She was running a little behind. I'm temporarily filling in for her. So if you bear with us, you'll see Kendra on in just a moment.
Which, by the way, let me just say, Ethan Micheal, I understand your decision to take some time away and apart from this relationship. It's well warranted, but we're gonna miss you. I'm glad you'll still be there behind the scenes with us. For those of you who are going to miss Ethan Micheal, he's not really gone. He's just kind of behind the scenes. So he will be making cameo appearances as per the agreement of this separation by the courts. That he still has to make cameo appearances, but I do appreciate the decision, and I look forward to your return, man.
Yeah. And then regarding, like you were saying, Donald Trump being unfair. So he is, or how he'll respond. Him and his right-wing friends, of course, and on social media, they're already claiming this is Democrat fraud. He has filed a lawsuit. It is on the Michigan desk right now to stop the counting and do a recount, which, from my understanding, they're allowed to do when it's this close, but he's not going down easy. Like, he's going to fight this tooth and nail. And the scary part is he's so good at manipulating his base by constantly saying, oh, everything is fraudulent or hoax on his Twitter. So people buy into this. Twitter flagged 4 of his tweets just yesterday because he was misleading people.
And he's mad about that. He's mad that that social media is saying, hey, idiot, you can't say false information in regards to our election. Anyway.
And Kyle, thank you for watching on my Twitch. I am trying to build that audience up. So, dude, you rock.
Which, by the way, for those of you who are tuning in to the show on Facebook, please go ahead and use the YouTube link to join the conversation over on YouTube as we're continuing to build our channel and our network. We're on YFNA News, and we have a lot of great content for you to review. Monday nights, we have the 13% with Cynthia McDonald and Arthur Ward, airing 7 p.m. at Central Standard Time. Which, by the way, I had to correct myself earlier. Like, we are on Central Standard Time now. I'm sorry, Standard Time now. We are not on Daylight Time anymore. Oh, it's just one of those important minor notes that I try to keep myself in check about. But please make sure that you are subscribing to the channel, that you have subscribed to the channel. Tell your friends and your family to subscribe too, so that everyone can join in the conversation and the discussion. The 13% tackles policies and politics that affect the Black American community. We are on our way to building the channel to the goal that we're looking for. We need your help. So please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that little alarm button so that you can get alerts for when we go live. as Ethan Michael is the hardest working man in live streaming.
Sometimes I try to be.
I think you are. I think you are. Well, if he's getting Nevada, man, we're all set. And I think our tonight's discussion will kind of just we'll look at some of the ways as In Black and White got started. The race and racism has kind of revealed itself in this election. But after that, we will be covering the updates that we have so far in America, and Ethan will be joining us for that, and some other guests too as well. So looking
Well,
forward to that conversation.
here's also the other thing. Biden came out earlier and said he believes they are going to take Pennsylvania. Now, earlier it was a 10%
Mhm.
difference. It is now down to less than 5%. And apparently with the delayed or the mail-in ballots, 70 rough estimates are that 70% of those are going to go to Biden. And if those numbers are correct, then he could overtake Pennsylvania.
Well,
Philadelphia.
you know what happened here in this situation, Ethan. He was the one. Trump was the one that just adamantly was against mail-in ballots, right? So you have to assume that his supporters did not mail their ballots in. So essentially, the bulk of the Republican votes, those were counted already on the day of, or for the in-person voting. So we're looking at like this cushion of mail-in ballots probably going to Joe Biden.
Yes. I mean, just the whole mail-in voting fraudulent crap. It's just, it needs to stop. Like, there's no evidence to support it. Are there small amounts of fraud? Yes. But anything that's going to tilt the election at this time, no, I have yet to see anything to support those claims.
Nothing supports those claims. In fact, when the president himself is using mail-in ballots to vote in his home state of Florida, the rhetoric around the election and the attempt to sow discord. You know, he's already polarized our country, right? He's
Just a little bit.
really the reason that our country is so polarized right now, outspokenly polarized right now. So it's no surprise that he's trying to sow seeds of doubt in our election and fraud that's unproven. But yet here we are, and here's why I wanted to have the conversation tonight, because what we really wanted, I'm pretty sure the Democrats specifically wanted, was a wide margin so that there could not be any thought behind this election, right? But here we are, it's close.
It is, and I wish it wasn't, because here's the thing. Even if Donald Trump eventually concedes, which I don't think he will, they're always going to hold this election in their back pockets as the election that the Democrats stole.
Well, funny enough, Ethan, when you say that, I was reading a post today. I didn't know, I didn't realize this, but if in the event, just to put this out there, if Trump actually does win the election, this will be the second time that he's won an election based on the Electoral College and lost the popular vote yet again, right? What does that say about the revamping that needs to take place in our election, man? I just
There's really no reason why we still have the Electoral College. I also have yet to see a good argument why we still have that. Let the people decide.
We've evolved. I think we've evolved past our Electoral College needs. I personally, that's just what I think.
So some bad news. I don't know if Kendra's going to make it.
She's
not. We're communicating right now. She's not feeling well.
Oh. Well, I know that she had a bit of a rough day, so if she might just need to take the night off, Kendra, and we can reconvene next week for a different discussion. And hats off to you. I hope that you get some rest, because you got a lot going on down there in South Carolina. There's
right.
and in the school system, right? So please just go ahead and get some rest, and we will reconvene that show next week. But does that mean that the great Ethan Michael has to stick around for the conversation? No, you don't have to. I understand.
Yeah.
You need
I don't like false advertising. Like, I'm like, hey, this last week was my last week, and then all of a sudden I'm here again. It's like,
no worries at all. No worries at all. But I'll tell you what, I would love to, and again, you don't have to, but I always enjoy our time together, brother. If you want to stick around, but I do want to get to the conversation with our guest for a bit. So, for those of you who have been watching the election, who have seen the results, there is a close margin. There is still some room for error in some of the, well, I don't think anymore in some of the states that have been called, but there's been some really detailed counting with the votes, and there have been some neck and neck races that I personally didn't expect. Right, I didn't think that it was going to be as close as it was in a lot of areas, and unfortunately, it has really unraveled some emotion behind the support of Donald Trump, in that people feel, specifically people of marginalized communities, will go even further down and say people of color, women, all of these groups that that has been attacked by him. It's almost unnerving to see the amount of support that he has still been able to achieve based on what we've gotten in the results of this election.
I didn't expect this. Like, months back, I had said there's no way Donald Trump will lose this election. I thought he had this thing down. Um, Although recently, seeing the polls and seeing everything he continues to do and the amount he lies, I'm just like, hey, you know what? Maybe he will lose. But apparently, there are still a lot of people in this country that idolize that man. And truthfully, I mean, really, who would you, if you had to choose for someone to watch your child or pet for a week, would you really trust Donald Trump over Joe Biden to watch your kid? And if so, would you really want that kid around Donald Trump?
Let's be clear, between the two, neither. But if we had to choose between the two, I damn sure don't want my child around Donald Trump at all.
No.
Joe, at least, is just like that old uncle that you just got to remind to turn the stove off when he tried to start cooking something for lunch or dinner while I'm out. You know what I mean? And I would make sure that my child was aware of that. But there is literally nothing that Donald J. Trump is going to do that's going to be beneficial or safe for my child at all, right? So again, here we are. This is where we are. So I want to get into the discussion with our guest tonight about the racism that we're really kind of seeing or feeling, the xenophobia that we're seeing in the supporting polls of this election. I don't know, Ethan, you had the map up earlier. If we can bring the map up one more time.
Sure.
I want to take a look at this map just so that people really get an idea here of what we're looking at, red versus blue. All of these states.
There you go.
All of these states have supported and are overwhelmingly supporting Donald Trump and the Republican Party. And I'm not sure if we're looking at their support of Republicans or their support of Trump, right? Because that's still kind of different in a sense. But I feel like if you are a Republican, if you're like a true Republican, like we had with the discussion with Richard Graves on the show not too long ago, if you are a true Republican last week, if you are a true Republican, I don't think that you would support Donald Trump. I think that you would have enough sense to say, this isn't the Republican Party that I remember or that I'm familiar with or that I identify with, right? So you vote third party or you vote Democrat, but you don't vote Donald Trump. So to me, this says these are Donald Trump supporters. And to see this for me it's still shocking. Some of these states we know are red, like we know they're going to be red states. But the amount of closeness in a few of these other states, like Georgia, like North Carolina, which again we know are red, I appreciate the Democrat support down in those states too as well. But Kentucky and Tennessee and Ohio, and even Pennsylvania at a particular time, these things were baffling for me to see, and it was almost hurtful. So I'd like to bring on our guest who actually had some thoughts around this, brought some color to the feeling and the emotion behind what's really taking place here, what this looks like, and what this says, how it speaks volume behind the racist values that we still have, that are still lingering, in this country. So please welcome Misha Williams to.
And I am going to bring Misha on and then step into the producer role off screen.
Ethan, I love you, brother. Thank you very much. You're the best. Misha is joining us. Hello there, Misha. How are you this evening?
Hello. I'm good. How are you doing?
Hey, it's post-election night. I don't know about you. I know this isn't your thing, but I still got my adult water here. I've been drinking my adult water since last night. I got off work at about 10:30. I had been watching the election results as best as I could. You know, when you're at work, you can't have your phone out type deal. So I caught what I could when I could. But as soon as I got home, that adult water had to come out, and it's still here with me.
Hey, whatever you need to cope now. I'm telling people, water, coffee, whatever, herb. I don't know. Whatever.
Because it's legal in quite a few states.
It's legal in the state of Illinois.
and speaking of you being in your profession, two different professions that really can help us get through some of the stressors here. We'll get to the conversation in just a bit, but I'd like you to tell us just a little bit about yourself, the things that you do, and that you got going on.
Well, I am a yoga instructor, and I like to think of myself as an all-around wellness advocate. I'm a social worker, and I've worked in school settings. I've worked in nonprofit settings, also healthcare settings. So I'm really a big advocate of, helping people find wellness in the life that they have, and however that looks. And I'm really big on honoring the person's journey. And right now, everybody's on their own individual journey as we try to make sense of this whole thing. And so yoga and meditation are helpful tools, and I'm willing to help where I can. I'm trying to help myself too, though.
Well, and to note, you just recently received your certification degree in clinical social work, correct?
Right. I just received my clinical license to practice in social work. So yeah, I've had my master's for over a decade, but I finally had to do that clinical piece of it, and I'm so grateful because it opens more doors and more ways that we really help and serve our not just my people, or quote unquote, but just to serve those most at risk in such a trying time. Because if you take the election and everything away, 2020 has still been one of the most emotionally, mentally, physically, financially stressful years many people have experienced in their lifetime. I know for me, it's been up there. It's in the top 10.
This might be in my top 3. Let's just put it out there, because it's been the whole year. But congratulations to you for that too. And I just want to note, for those of you that are watching that are familiar with the Black Week Leonard organizations, this is yet again one of my sorors representing of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Got to throw that out there, because when it's a blue and a white takeover, it's a thing.
That's what it is.
I was gonna get that blue and white light in there. So listen,
I appreciate that.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit, because you expressed some of the sentiment that I've been seeing around this election, in regards to the support of someone who is promoting racism and all of the things that are polarizing our country. But I wanted to kind of get your thoughts. So let's start with what your reaction was when you saw how close these races were.
Rick, I'm sorry. I think Rick, are you there? I apologize.
Yeah,
I think okay. I missed the last thing you said. I do apologize.
No, it's okay. Yeah. I'm curious to get your feedback, your impression, what your feeling was, your sentiment around what took place, how you felt when you saw the election results as close as they were.
Right. Well, I was never disillusioned that President Trump has his base, and that a very passionate and vehement base. I knew that was going to be there. I believe the fabric of this country has racism woven into it. I know some people's ideals of white supremacy are always going to be their top ideals, and it's going to overcome other things that I would find logical. However, I was taken aback after the handling of the pandemic with over 230,000 Americans, passed away in less than a year with, the the work that he does with the Senate, pushing past, this justice in such a short amount of time. There's no continued stimulus package for small businesses, for robust unemployment, any stimulus package. I was just shocked. I was shocked that not that people seem to be voting against their own interests, and I was. And I became very emotional that there was this huge push for women, for young people, for minorities to leave, the comfort of their home, risk COVID, go vote. There's this huge push. Everybody vote. Don't complain if you don't vote. And I did vote before anybody comes for me. But you have octogenarians on oxygen in line, and this is supposed to save democracy. And yet again, exit polls are showing that 55% of white women have voted for Trump.
I also, to add to that, I was appalled to see that 8% of Black women and 18% of Black men voted for Trump. That's a completely different conversation. In fact, I think I'll save that for the 13%. Cynthia McDonald, Arthur Ward, you all can have that one. But what I would like to target, for the sake of this conversation, really is where we are when you talk about that racism is woven into the fabric of our country. I think it was something that you mentioned in one of your posts about the RNC being walking full of racist, xenophobic, misogynist glory, right? And the Dems not even stepping up on their part, right? But outside of that, I'm wondering about your sentiment, your thoughts, how you felt about because to me, when I saw this, it was like with Ethan's map that he showed earlier. This map really for me kind of showed what we were really up against. In fact, Ethan, if we could display some of the numbers and the percentages of how close some of these races were in these states. For me, I was baffled that this many people are still
Nevada.
Look at Nevada. Right, exactly. That close, 48.7%, 580,000 votes in Nevada. People are still saying Donald Trump is still okay, right? And the politics and policies of this party is still okay, right? So tell me a little bit about, what do we do? Like at the end of the day here, what I'm not going to say at the end of the day anymore on this show. That's an inside joke. But what do we do?
I believe, I don't even know if the Democratic Party, I'm not Democrat. I'm not registered Democrat. I lean liberal and very much more progressive. But I believe if the Democratic Party wants to be a party that means anything, they need to go all the way progressive. I mean, you need to run the candidate that people believe in, because however you feel about Trump, people believe in him. I don't know how many people were really excited about Joe Biden opposed to he just was better than Trump. He has a 47-year record that is sketchy, in some areas, like crime bill. But I think going forward, we can't negotiate. We can't, follow the old guard and like Nancy Pelosi and those people and Chuck Schumer and say, oh, we're not going to impeach. They didn't want to impeach him in the first place. When they did it, they wanted bipartisan. There's no more bipartisan in this country. At least I don't see that. And I believe there's this push for Democrats to always be the bigger party and reach across the aisle and go balls to the wall. Green New Deal. So y'all, there are people who don't want it, but they're going to stop trying to appeal to. I think Democrats are trying to appeal to moderate Republicans, opposed to getting a whole new generation who needs this environment for them and for their children and their grandchildren, who needs education and loan forgiveness, who speak to that base, speak to those who are coming up and inheriting the planet. I mean, that's what I believe would be helpful. And also get people who are unapologetically going to say, I will be everybody's president, or I will be everybody's representative, but I'm going to prioritize the least of these, because I don't believe in trickle down economics at all. I believe in some trickle up. If you work to the best interest of the lowest common denominator, everybody's going to benefit. That's my belief.
And I hear you. That makes a lot of sense. You know, I'm interested when you talk about, you know, a leader that speaks to a base, right? We currently have that in the White House. We currently have a leader who speaks to his base, and to see what that base is capable of, I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, you know, people were talking about the things that might erupt, protests and rioting that might erupt on either side, right? For me, I'm a little bit more afraid. I guess it's because, you know, I identify, as you say, left and liberal and a little bit progressive, but I do identify as a Democrat as of now. I'm changing that, I think, in the next election, or as I get a campaign together. Anyway, so I personally feel a little bit more threatened if I see the right uprising, and I think it's because intentionally their motive is to attack marginalized communities, and that's my perception. Here's the thing. I went to go vote, and I went to go vote early, but I went to vote, and I talked about this on the show last week for those of you that remember. When I walked into the polling place and saw this older white man and his father decked out in Trump camouflage apparel, I was actually a bit scared. Like I was intimidated, like, because I felt like that makes them feel like they have the right to say anything to me as a Black male gay voter, because I have my lanyard that had the rainbow on it, so I wanted to make sure folks knew, yeah, you got a blue vote coming in here. But you know, I understand that they had the same perception. They wanted people to know they were Trump supporters. But what that means, right? The symbolization that comes with that, it screams hurtful. It screams attacking, right? And we've seen it. We've seen it with the trucks that were trying to run the Biden bus off the road, right? We've seen it just recently with the protesters who were self-proclaimed poll watchers who went to attack the Michigan or not really attack, but you know, barge into the ballot counting place in Michigan. That just happened, right?
Right.
So I'm worried about, if he does get reelected, what those rallies, what those riots are going to look like. I'm sorry, if he doesn't get elected, if Trump does not get elected, what those riots are going to look like. So for you, right, what is it that Black people or the people of color in this country need to do to ensure that, or even white Americans who say that they are on our side? Because this to me, yo, Misha, let's talk about it, because this to me, looking
let's
at
talk
this
about
map,
it then.
this map suggests that all those white people who were saying they were on our side, maybe not. What are your thoughts?
Two things. So we'll work it backwards.
Okay.
Allyship. I'm very skeptical if allyship really exists. I believe white people don't want to feel racist more than they don't want to be racist. They want to be perceived as racist as much as they don't want to do the work to be anti-racist. And so I was reading, it was like around August, they were saying that, and I wish I had this article and I will get it for you, that people were losing interest in Black Lives Matter and losing support for Black Lives Matter. White people were around August. I'm like, and what a luxury that is, to lose interest in, you know, the humanity and the dignity of, you know, your fellow citizens because, you know, you want to wrap the rest of what little summer you have during the pandemic. And so it makes me wonder how invested, quote unquote, allies are into actual justice opposed to how they feel justice should be. And I wonder, do they really want more allyship from us? Because I think Black people are tired and frustrated, but we're not surprised. I believe liberals have never seen somebody act out like President Trump. So while we like this is not new. We're like, it's embarrassing, it's reprehensible, but this isn't new. This is America. Liberals have been like, no, this is not my country. This is not my America.
Right.
Yes, Susan, it's your America. You're just being treated a little bit less like you're used to being treated. And I think saying that you align with an oppressed people makes you feel like we're all in this together in a way that we're not. Because let's say violence does erupt, or there are people who are going to be insulated no matter who's president, no matter what administration is there. And those people are likely going to be wealthier white people. And so while they're uncomfortable, they don't like to see violence in the street. I mean, they're going to be okay because the system is set up for them to be okay. Police are going to come out. They're going to protect them. They're going to be okay unless we have complete civil unrest. And that is scary. That is terrifying, to most people. But I ask, like, how safe do Black people feel generally day to day? In a lot of situations.
There was a post that said that said, when you look at the numbers, when you look at the polling numbers, white people don't be surprised when Black people say we don't feel safe. And that resonated with me, right? That really, I had to sit with that for a minute, because that's very real. When you see, after all of the talk about fighting racism and being anti-racist, and here is the chance that we as a country can step up and say, we're fighting racism. We are fighting for and toward anti-racism, right? This is what we're all the talk has been. Here was the chance that we had to prove it as a country. And to me, my personal opinion, even if Biden gets elected, we failed because it was so close.
It was so close.
It's still so close.
So close. Like exactly. I don't believe there is an election. There's not an election for me in the next 8 years that's going to remedy this. It's not going to fix the situation, because even in blue states, like you're saying, it's right down the middle, 51% to 49%. You're like, what? What? And I remember watching. They're like, these white women in the suburbs, they are not having it. They're coming out to vote. They're not telling you who they're coming out to vote, but they're not telling you who they're voting for. Like the poll, every pollster needs to be fired too. Please stop. Stop. You're being lied to and you know it. Stop.
I feel you. And I was thinking the same thing. People are going out to vote. They telling you who they voted for, but they may have been casting their vote. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to remedy that, but Misha, for someone as active as you are, and let me switch lanes for a quick second and circle back to something. I do want to say shout out to the people who are fighting for anti-racism, who aren't Black. The people who are fighting against anti-Blackness and anti-people of color and anti-Indigenous people who are out there actually doing the work. Because as we've said on the show time and time again, racism is not going to be fixed by Black people. It's not.
It's not our job.
It's not our job. We didn't create it. We can't fix racism. We can't.
Exactly.
I have to keep saying that so people understand that Black people, the onus is not on the people that are being discriminated against to fix the discrimination. I think we might have lost Misha there, unfortunately. But this is
here.
that was that. I'm glad we were able to have the conversation though, because unfortunately that needs to be said, that when you look at the polling results, when you look at where we are in our race, our presidential race, it's amazing that we are so neck and neck in certain places.
Right.
But thanks to, I don't know if we'll be able to get her back, but thanks to Misha for joining us. Ethan's back because this is what Ethan does. And we said we were going to kind of talk a little bit about the election and where we are with the polls. Ethan, let me ask you this before we get started with that, man. How did you handle yesterday?
I guess, what do you mean by that?
There's anxiety, man. There's stress. As I told Misha, I had my adult water with me when I got home to make sure that I stayed hydrated as best as I could. We'll call it hydration. But how did you handle the stress and anxiety of watching the election results yesterday?
It was stressful. It was, I had the news on from pretty much when the time I woke up at 7 a.m. until around, actually, it was pretty much nonstop till I had the show with Cynthia last night. And then once that was done, same thing. So I was just consuming news all day, and I'm just like eagerly waiting. However, some good news. I convinced one of my family members not to vote for Donald Trump in the last 15 minutes.
Really?
Yes.
We'll have to talk offline about who that was.
I went for a last ditch effort. I was actually quite happy when asked, like, well, okay, tell me why you're voting for Biden and why why I shouldn't vote for Trump. And I launched into a tangent. I think maybe I was more comfortable because I wasn't on camera, because on camera, I'm always terrified to say something like just slightly wrong. So I'm more careful. But there I just launched into a tangent and it worked. Now he didn't vote for Biden, but vote for Trump.
Didn't vote for Trump. There's that. Well, we got Misha back to finish up the conversation. Glad we were able to.
Sorry.
Listen, this is our world right now. This is the technology.
It just shut. I mean, when I say it shut down, like the app didn't.
This is Trump's internet for right now. So on Trump's internet, when you're talking about Trump, it's happening. But I to kind of wrap up here soon, Misha. And again, I really appreciate you taking some time to join in the conversation and the discussion here. I really kind of want to know from your perspective as somebody, like I said, who's really been active in the community as well. What is it that you look for, especially when you say being skeptical? What is it that you're looking for from white Americans who say that they're allies, who are fighting for anti-racism? What are some of the things that you are looking for from them for the community?
I would say sustained, consistent behavior. I'm not really interested in messages so much, and I like to see how white people talk to other white people, and see if their message changes. If they're trying to be very polite, or if they're more concerned about other white feelings than other people's oppression. So that's something that I that's what I observe, but as what I'm looking for is, I wholeheartedly believe in reparations, and I mean money. I don't mean
Cynthia
a bunch
McDonald will love you for that, and Arthur Ward as a part of the ADOS community, as I strongly support as well. Financial reparations.
Financial reparations. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe that. And when people say, "Oh, well, no," if a quote unquote ally is hesitant about reparations, and they're not interested in educating themselves on the economic disadvantage that Black people in America have experienced over generation and generation, then to me, I think they're more concerned about their feel-good message opposed to the actual repairing of Black people. And as long as we're going to be a capitalistic nature, you need capital, and that's that. And
and that's always surprising to me, because I don't know if you saw our past shows with conversations with Trump supporters, but the bulk of Trump supporters support Trump because of what he's done monetarily for the country, right?
Like for them.
Right, for them, specifically for them.
Specifically for them.
And yes, that's the point I was getting to. It has nothing to do with any type of financial value for anyone else in the country. It's for them specifically. But what's funnier is not the specific Trump supporters that we spoke with, but Trump supporters in general are not anywhere near the means or come from the means that Trump comes from. So it's like he's speaking for you, and he has no idea what it is to be in your world, what it is to be in your shoes, right?
Right.
Baffling. So anyway, when we talk about reparations, financial and monetarily providing reparations for the Black community, please, I'm so sorry to interrupt. What is it else what else are you looking for?
And I'm looking for genuine partnership. I've noticed that there comes ease when white people are mentoring or helping Black people, but to deal with a Black person as an equal idea, like I am your partner, you're going to have to take some of my suggestions and understand that I am the expert on my situation. I am the expert on my community. And if all I need you to do is, network with me, open up opportunities for me, that's what I need you to do. I don't need a savior. And that to me is something I'm looking for. I've had relationships that have outgrown their value because a lot of people want to stay in a paternalistic relationship with Black people, and that's not helpful. And then if you're constantly asking and tiptoeing around and wondering if you can be your full authentic self and if you can even grow, that's not a relationship. That's going to stifle you, and that's definitely not an ally. And allies are like two whole countries. Like, your country does this, my country does that. This is what I need. No, I don't need you to colonize my life. Okay.
Understood. Well, I think that as we continue to have these conversations around what racism looks like in America, the important note is we're not as far as we thought we were. We're not as far, at least from what I've seen in this election. We're not as far as we thought we were. We still have a lot of work to do. And it's imperative that the people who are in the position to do the work, do the work. We still have Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham in office. So again, we
throw
have
the
not
whole
made...
Kentucky away. Throw the whole Kentucky away.
And whichever Carolina he's in. Like, that's
exactly. Yeah.
Like, y'all left him in office. We ain't got a stimulus package yet, and y'all left him. Anyway, sorry.
Exactly. Breonna Taylor, and we have still.
We're not going to talk about our frat brother on this show either, and that foolishness, and tomfoolery. However, right, exactly. We'll leave that where it is for now. But as I've said on this show a couple of times, the black ass bottom line is there is still a lot of work to be done in our country if we're going to get if we're going to get the movement towards anti-racism where it should be. This is 2020, and there's no way that a man in the head of the land, the leadership of our country, who promotes the bipolarism of our country, but also bipolarization, but also the racist antics of white supremacist groups that he knows feed off of his every word, the xenophobia, right, the misogyny, all of that is in his character, and we've allowed him to inch his way. Right. Maybe inch his way out of office or in office. It shouldn't be that way, and we need to do better as a country.
And Rick, I just want to say this one thing. What really made me write my book today was the fact that my son is afraid to walk our dog in the suburbs. My daughter is afraid of a large black pickup truck in our neighborhood with a huge thin blue line and Trump signs.
I'm a grown ass man, and I'm afraid. So yeah. I understand.
Yeah, so.
I can't imagine, Misha. I cannot imagine what you as a mother have to deal with, and parents around the country, black parents around the country, having to find some way to protect their children from what this means if Trump wins this country again, or what'll happen if he doesn't. I can't imagine. Yeah. I can't. But the strength of black people, the resilience of black people, we've been here before, and that's the only thing we can kind of rest our laurels in, is that we've been here before. Right. We can continue to fight. We can continue to make it, but it's at the expense of our lives.
Yes.
And unfortunately.
Sending a lot of love to our people right now.
Yeah, and to your kids and kids around the world, and to kids around the world. Yeah. How great would it be to have for the kids to have Kamala Harris as the VP, which potentially could be the president, the way Joe Biden's going.
Everybody trying to kill that man. Y'all stop.
I'm just saying. Like, we just don't know. But but I mean, even if Trump gets in office, you got Pence, who doesn't even like LGBTQ or probably black people. I'm pretty sure he doesn't, because he ran Indiana, the headquarters of the KKK. Like, so we already know Pence is putting us back on the plantation. But the inspiration that black kids and the validation that black kids can see, they saw it with Barack, they can see it with Kamala Harris, and it's only 2 out of 40 some odd potential opportunities for black people or marginalized communities to take that position. 2. in all of the years that we've been a nation. Misha, before we get wrap up here, again, thank you so much for the discussion. Please let people know where they can find you, what you got going on, and if you are providing any helpful tips in dealing with this stress, because you are now a licensed clinical social worker, so you may have some tips and tricks for some people. What is it that people can do, and how can they find you?
Oh, you can find me at Misha Love on Instagram. That's FAHAMISHA Love on Instagram. I'm at Misha Williams on Facebook, and I'm at firemisha.com on my website. I have a 5-week session coming up next week for Black and Brown girls, free yoga on Wednesdays. You can find that on my website. So ages 12 to 19. For young people to just check in, move their bodies, de-stress. The young people are just as stressed. They may manifest it differently, but they need it. And so I want to offer that to them. And that's under Be Girl Yoga Incorporated, my nonprofit. And I also would tell people, as hard as it is, and I'm saying this, I know from experience, even as a yoga teacher, sometimes I don't want to get on my mat. If you can, get in your body and get out of your mind. And if you need help, ask for the help you need. You deserve it. You're worth it. This is how, these are trying times, and you are worthy of love, compassion, and rest.
Get in your body and get out of your mind. That right there. And I mean, Kevin said that there was another quote that he said was a quote of the year. I don't need you to colonize my life, but get in your body, get out of my mind. You come with the quotes, Misha, and I appreciate it, because I'm still in a couple of those. I do tend to do that from time to time.
Have it.
And I got to get that to that yoga class. But listen, thank you so much again for joining. You all that are watching, you can find a link to her our page, I believe, in the comment section too as well. Check out Misha and all of the wonderful things that she has going on. And Misha, keep doing what you're doing, Sora.
Thank you. Much love, and tell Ethan thanks.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye, guys.
Take it easy. Thank you, Misha.
Yeah, no, we don't have any guests, unfortunately.
Well, that's okay, because we wanted to keep the show much shorter than it's been in the past couple of weeks. We have to decompress from the Trump supporters that we've talked to all month long. And I'm still decompressing. I saw that Jonathan Roberts commented on your post that he thinks Biden is going to win. Unfortunately, I think he's sad about that. It got me a little excited, but that's just me. But with the things that are going on with the election, any updates yet for where we are so far? Has Nevada actually been declared yet?
Ooh, I should have had that up.
Well, I actually was going to check now just before
nope.
we
264, and we're still only at 75% reporting. Pennsylvania, we're at 88% reporting with a 4% lead by Trump. North Carolina, 94% reported with a 2% lead by Trump. And then Georgia, 97% reporting with a 1.2% lead by Trump. So the real right now, we just need Nevada. If we get Nevada, we're good. But what makes me nervous is there are still 25. It's only 75% has been reported, and they are less than 1% away from each other. So this could go either way.
Well,
but
it's not even that's going to go either way.
Nevada, we're done.
Well, if it's within that 1%, I'm pretty sure he's able to challenge for a recount, unfortunately. Yes. But hey, challenge for a recount. It doesn't mean that you're gonna win that recount. That's why they're taking so long, so they can get it right the first time.
This just in, Nevada will not have any more results until tomorrow at 9 a.m.
I feel Pennsylvania is the same way. I think Pennsylvania said something like Friday, unfortunately.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if we get Nevada, it doesn't matter. As long as we win Nevada, that's it. We win.
Well, is it a race to the first person to 270? Because if he gets Nevada, does that mean that Trump can't make it to 270? Oh, that's right. Because once you get to 270, you're pretty much done. Yeah, that's the winner, right? These electoral votes, I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ethan, Michael, hey, listen, I know that you were supposed to not be here this show, but again, hey, I appreciate you stepping in, man.
Hey,
This
I
relationship just
appreciate
keeps
you.
it keeps going on, and once we find that Biden and Kamala Harris have won, I'm pretty sure this will be my new light. We'll probably do a little bit of this,
Don't do that.
just
All right,
because.
sorry. Whenever you do something like that, you need to do a trigger warning for people who have epilepsy that are watching.
You're right. Thank you very much for that. I didn't even cross my mind. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
That is a trigger for epilepsy. So I'll put it. Maybe I won't do the strobe light. Oh, but it was such a celebratory type of.
I mean, you can just say, "Hey, anybody with epilepsy, just so you know, I'm going to be turning on this strobe light for about 10 seconds. So if you could close your eyes or just turn away for a moment."
Yeah, I will keep that in mind. Thank you for reminding me of that, brother. Any last words or final thoughts?
No, hopefully Kendra will get her rest and be back or be here next week.
Yeah. So Ethan can take some time off, and again, the separation that we're going through. We'll have to talk about the kids and what we're going to do with them. Thanks to all of you all for watching tonight. Tune in next week on Wednesday, same time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, for another episode of In Black and White. And keep in mind, always remember, I can do it one more time with my buddy Ethan. Whenever there is racism to fight,
there will always be in black and white. Good night, everyone.